Hi there, this is Laxyak. I really like Legend of Zelda. If you don't know, it's a franchise created by Nintendo. There are almost 20 games for this franchise now, so that's pretty cool. The creator, when he was thinking of something new to make after Mario, he remembered back to his childhood when he used to explore all over the place. Like, I think he actually had caves nearby his house, and that's pretty cool, and forests and such like that. And when they were working on the actual sprite, which is the picture of the character, they were limited to a small size, like you could see the pixels. And so the artists wanted to make sure that this character was recognizable. So what they did is they decided to use the image of Peter Pan. And that is how Link got to be wearing the green tunic and hat that we all know and love. A few days ago, it was announced that the new Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, will be coming out March 3rd this year. That is the same day as their new system, the Nintendo Switch. The game will be available for both the new system and the previous Wii U. So if you aren't ready to buy a new console, then don't panic, you can still get it for your current one. However, it will not be on the 3DS. So in celebration of my love of this series and the fact that there's a new one coming out, I have decided to make a YouTube channel based on it, and that's where we are now. This YouTube channel will be dedicated to fan fiction. That's why you're not seeing me, because it's going to be all about the writing. I will be looking online for pictures that go with different scenes in the story. The pictures you see right now are from the Breath of the Wild trailers. I am on this website called Wattpad. It's for writers to share their work. It's not just for fan fiction, it's for all types of writing, even nonfiction. And I think they have implemented tools recently for comics. I haven't seen any, but I would love to. It looks like you can just put a picture right in with your text, so you could also do picture books. So that's pretty cool. On Wattpad, I have been talking to people and trying to set up this YouTube channel because it's more fun with other people. And because I'm not very good at editing, so hopefully somebody else can help me with that part. I also want to read these fanfictions with the author's permission, so if the author volunteers, that makes it easy on me. I can find their fanfiction and take a quick look and decide if I want to read it for the channel or not. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be reading fanfictions that are poorly done. If there's grammar that's hard to read, or if the story is hard to follow, then I will have to decline your submission. But usually when I decline, I include some tips on how to make it better. While I was waiting for people to volunteer, I was reading fanfics because it's just so much fun. And why not? That's what I want to do for the channel. So I was reading other fanfics. And I came across this one that was written because of a challenge. So I went back to the original person who came up with this challenge. The one who came up with this challenge is FluffiReadz, and they were kind enough to let me use the idea for my YouTube channel. So the challenge is based on the latest trailer for Breath of the Wild. It came out only maybe 4 or 5 days ago. And there was this one scene, it was raining and Link and Zelda were just covered in mud. Zelda was crying on Link's shoulder and we actually hear her voice cry out. The challenge is just to write a little fanfiction about this particular scene. It doesn't have to be a theory, it doesn't have to be based on the rest of the trailer. It's really up to you. And don't blame me if you end up crying. So far I've seen one who was originally nominated, Zelinkie. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Zelinkie has been kind enough to let me read their fanfic that came out of this challenge. I think it was really well done, and so I hope you will like it also. Guardians, imbued with a red-pink light in their circuitry systems, clambered over the roofs of many buildings and knocking off their red shingles. The straight blue lasers coming from their single eye scanned the cobblestone grounds of Castletown, searching for its next victims and then releasing a fiery explosion upon them. They moved quickly towards the great castle, behind the protection of high walls and lines of houses, but such defenses were destroyed in a matter of minutes. People cried and screamed over the loud blasts, hurrying to escape the mass destruction around them. Children long abandoned cried for their mothers, and wives cried for their dead husbands. The gates were swarmed with spidery guardians, scanning and shooting at anyone who came near. There was a single pair, though, that managed to escape the guardians with their lives hanging by a thread, one with a sheathed sword and the other with golden ornaments. They stumbled through the fields just outside Castletown, tripping over rocks shooting out from within the walls, and their feet stamping on the once green grass. The one with the gold ornaments stopped just as they reached a small wood and turned to face the destruction. Her eyes brimmed with tears at what she saw. Hyrule Castle was slowly being corrupted by a black and red smog, and the Guardians were crawling over it, claiming it as their own, as a few continued to terrorize Castletown. Screams and shouts could still be heard, and her tears threatened to fall, lest she keep going. She was about to turn when the one with the sheathed sword grabbed her hand and tugged her along, running full speed as she stumbled behind him. They ran into the small wood, where the trees still miraculously had leaves. Rain began to pour down on their dirty, worn bodies as they sprinted through the thick foliage and to a more clear area of the wood. Her hand slipped from his, and she leaned against a tree warily, causing him to stop and turn with a worried look. So many thoughts swirled through her head, but one dominated them all. The fact that things had taken a dark twist so abruptly. Just an hour ago, she was sitting in her study, filling out papers for a new law, when the head guard came in and reported a strange sighting to the east of Castletown. She had only told him to set up extra guards along the outer walls. If only she hadn't been so careless, so idiotic, maybe her people, or what was left of them, wouldn't be in this state. Quite shortly after that, her personal guard, Link, came running in and took her hand, leading her to one of the many secret passages within the castle. He hadn't time to explain before he tugged her inside and took off down its maze-like corridors, and only when they reached outside was Zelda aware of their situation. She slumped down against the tree as Link continued to stare back at her, letting the rain pelt her face as the first of the tears came in silent streaks. Link considered themselves far away enough to be safe for a while, so he carefully approached her and knelt in front of her shaking form. Maybe, just maybe, if she wasn't a lonely ruler, this wouldn't have happened. If she wasn't such a naive, foolish young woman, this would not have happened. Maybe in some alternate universe, her people were celebrating an event of sorts, with bright streamers and confetti, and music and food, and her father. She sunk further to the ground as Link lowered himself further with her, and she held both of her arms as the tears began to flow freely.
Everything I've done up until now, it was all for nothing.
She collapsed into Link's shoulder as she let out a desperate cry, one that rang throughout the surrounding forest and the vast skies above. He slowly wrapped a ginger arm around her, allowing the tears to soak into his blue tunic. The only thing there in that moment was him, her, and the fate of the kingdom of Hyrule. So, there we have it. Thank you again to FluffiReadz and Zelinkie for our very first episode. Yay! I hope you guys enjoy. I look forward to reading more Legend of Zelda fanfiction, and I hope that you are excited to come back. It may not be a very good quality as of now, but hopefully over time I will get better, and I will also get some better equipment, so look forward to that. Thank you very much. Okay, bye. Guardians imbued with red-pink light. And I already messed up. Lovely. Knew that was going to happen. It's going to happen a lot. Of course. That's called a blooper, and usually you take the bloopers out. So there we go. Them's life. Guardians. What? One with a sheathed sword. That is so hard to say.
Open your eyes.